I trusted my husband with my whole heart for 10 years. Then a flirty CEO tried to undermine our marriage, and when he left for a trip I begged him not to take, I followed him in secret to find out the truth. I'm 32. My husband Joe and I have been married for 8 years, together for 10. A full decade of life shared. The highs, the mundane, the ugly bits, and everything in between. And I'd always thought we were rock solid. Not just in the romanticized, we've made it kind of way, but in the day-to-day, you and me against the world kind of way. We had this unspoken rule. Each other's peace came first. Always. If something upset me, he'd stop doing it. And the same went for me. It wasn't about giving in, it was about being safe with each other. About being that soft place to land. We didn't need to be right all the time, we just needed each other to feel okay. That mutual respect built the kind of trust that makes you feel untouchable. At least, I thought it did. Joe runs his own business. I'm involved too, so we work together a lot. It's actually something I used to love about our life, being in sync professionally and personally. Over time, we grew financially comfortable. Nothing flashy, but solid. Secure. We'd been building something real together. So when Joe's father brought in an opportunity to bid for a major government contract, it felt like a big win. A chance to take things to the next level. The kind of deal that could change everything. This wasn't a solo effort though. The deal was so massive that multiple companies were teaming up, and one of the non-negotiables in this deal, is run by a woman who is, let's say, hard to ignore. She's sharp, confident, successful, and very flirtatious. Very intentional. And very, very aware that she makes people uncomfortable and gets away with it. She's the CEO of her firm, and every time she's around Joe, she turns it on. The charm, the casual touches, the compliments that sound innocent to someone walking by, but hit different when you're the wife watching it happen. She once told him, while touching his arm, "If I had a husband like you, I'd never leave his side. You're someone every woman wants. But sometimes even that's not enough. Sometimes someone else steals your mind." That wasn't cute. That wasn't just how she talks. That was a line. A very calculated one. And I knew at the moment I saw the look in her eyes when she said it. So I snapped. I told her, "I'm not following him. He just never leaves my side." She laughed it off like it was nothing. But it wasn't nothing to me. It stuck. And I could tell it stuck with Joe too. Later that night, I brought it up. I didn't yell or accuse. I just asked him how he felt about what she said. He admitted she was inappropriate. He said he was uncomfortable with how she acted, but that he didn't want to do or say anything that might jeopardize the deal. I tried to understand. Really, I did. I know business isn't always clean. Sometimes you smile through things you'd rather shut down. But then today broke something in me. I found out, through someone else on the team, that she'd arranged a site visit for the contract. A 3-day trip with a smaller, more essential group. 5 people. Joe was invited. I wasn't, despite being part of the project. Despite being there since day one. I was quietly and strategically excluded. And it wasn't hard to guess who made that call. I asked Joe about it. He said she'd insisted on keeping it small and focused. He didn't push back, didn't fight for my place. And when I told him, really told him how uncomfortable I felt about it, how much it hurt, how this felt like the beginning of something I couldn't ignore, I begged him not to go. I didn't beg him often. But this time I did. I laid my heart out unguarded. I said, "Please don't do this. We don't need this contract. Not at the cost of what we have. Not if it means I spend 3 days sitting at home wondering why I wasn't enough for you to say no." He hugged me, told me he understood. And then he went anyway. He kissed my forehead, soft, routine, thoughtless, and walked out the door with his suitcase. It shattered something. Something small, maybe. Something invisible. But something that mattered deeply. Because for 10 years, I believed he would never choose anything over my comfort. That I could count on him to draw boundaries for me even when I wasn't in the room. And now, for the first time in our marriage, I wasn't so sure. I felt myself spiraling. Was I overreacting? Was I just insecure? But no, this isn't about insecurity. This is about feeling like my voice suddenly didn't carry weight. Like my peace wasn't reason enough. That woman gets 3 days of his time, his attention, his presence, after disrespecting me, after clearly overstepping, and I get silence. I get left behind. Again, not because we need this, but because he chose not to say no. And now, I don't even know what I'm hoping for. Part of me wants to keep waiting by the door, to see him walk in, remorseful, ready to fix this. Another part wants to take off my wedding ring, photograph it, and text it to him with the caption, "She can keep you." I keep thinking about everything we've built. The years, the sacrifices, the way he used to look at me like I was home. And I keep wondering how it all shifted so quickly. Or maybe it didn't shift quickly at all. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. The betrayal isn't that he's physically going on this trip. It's that when I asked him not to, when I told him that something about it made me feel disrespected, humiliated, and discarded, he went anyway. He chose the deal. He chose silence. He chose her invitation over my plea. And I don't know how to come back from that. So no, I don't think I'm wrong for asking him not to go. I think I'm heartbroken that I even had to ask. And now, I'm here trying to figure out how to grieve something that isn't technically over, but no longer feels whole. Because how do you fight for something when the person next to you quietly put down their sword? How do you love someone who's no longer standing on the same side? I did something I never thought I'd do. I got in my car and drove 3 hours to the hotel where Joe and his team were staying. Yes, I know how that sounds. Desperate. Rash. Out of character. And honestly, it was all those things. But when you're in that cocktail of jealousy, hurt, love, and sheer confusion, your brain doesn't exactly follow logic. It follows the ache in your chest, the part that keeps whispering, "What if?" Joe had been calling and texting me the whole way. I didn't answer. I didn't even open most of the messages. What could I say? "Hey, I'm spiraling so hard that I'm about to show up uninvited to your work trip." I didn't trust myself not to scream or cry or say something I'd regret. So I kept the silence between us like a protective shield. I didn't even have a plan. I just needed to see it, to see her, to see him. The version of Joe that existed in this weird space between business and flirtation, where I couldn't reach him and I didn't feel welcome. When I pulled up at the hotel, I parked around the corner and took a few deep breaths. I remember my hands were shaking. I felt ridiculous, like I was starring in someone else's drama. But I walked in. The lounge was quiet, dimly lit, professional, but relaxed. There they were, the team of 5. Laughing, sipping drinks, huddled together around a low coffee table. Joe was at the far end. She was nowhere near him, not physically, at least. I watched for a while. She was her usual self, vibrant and commanding. Everyone was listening when she talked. Joe didn't look uncomfortable, but he didn't look enamored either. He was present, engaged, nodding along. But he was also glancing at his phone again and again, texting rapidly.
Texting me.
"Please pick up. Talk to me.
I'm sorry.
Don't be mad. I miss you." And just like that, some of the pressure in my chest loosened. I hadn't come to confront him, not really. I just needed clarity. I needed to see with my own eyes that I wasn't being lied to, that my instincts weren't betraying me, that this wasn't some elaborate deception. But I couldn't sit there forever. There was a cafe across the street, so I went and messaged him. "I'm here. Can you meet me?" He showed up within minutes. When I saw him walking toward me, my resolve cracked like glass. I'd rehearsed lines in my head the whole drive. The strong, composed woman's speech. The cold, hard questions. But the moment he pulled me into his arms, I just cried. Not pretty tears. Full, shaking, gasping sobs. Right there in public.
And he held me. Quietly.
No explanations, no defensiveness. Just held me like he understood. Eventually, I pulled myself together and asked him what I should have asked before. "Why didn't you bring me? Not as a colleague, but as your wife?" He didn't dodge it. He said he thought that if I came, it would make everything worse. That I was already upset over being excluded, and he didn't want the tension between me and her to spiral. He thought he could manage things, keep her at arm's length, and handle it on his own. He admitted she's flirted, more than once, but that he's never encouraged it. He keeps it light, keeps his distance. Then he said something that stuck with me. "She's not after me. She's competing with you." According to Joe, this woman, with all her charm and polish, isn't trying to get him. She's trying to rattle me. That this isn't a seduction, it's a power play. She picked you as a rival. Not because she needs anything from me, but because some people enjoy watching others squirm. She wants you to feel small. That's her game. I didn't fully buy it. Maybe because it makes her sound like a cartoon villain, too petty, too deliberate. I don't know. She's a CEO, a leader in her field. Why would she waste energy on games like that? But still, it made a kind of sense in a weird way. The look she gave me that first meeting, it wasn't about him. It was about me. Joe said he underestimated how much this was affecting me, that he thought I'd brush it off like I had with other women in the past. That in 10 years of marriage, I've never reacted like this before, and he didn't realize this time was different. Then he opened up about the pressure he's under, about how this contract means something to his dad, how much he wants to prove he can land something big. This might be the only shot we ever get at something like this, he said. I want to make you proud too. He asked me to trust him. I didn't answer right away, but we went back to the hotel together and had breakfast. Just the two of us. Quiet. Simple. Almost like nothing had happened. And the strangest part? I'm not furious anymore. I don't know if it's because I saw him being respectful in that lounge, or because he ran to me the second I asked, or maybe because the sharp, unbearable sting of betrayal has dulled into something softer, a kind of tired ache that no longer burns, just lingers. Tonight, we're going to dinner with the group. I don't know how I'll feel seeing her again. I don't know if I'll be able to fake a smile, or if my face will betray me the moment she says something flirty again. But I'll be there. With Joe. Maybe that means something. Maybe it's a start. Maybe it's just a pause before something breaks again. I honestly don't know anymore. But I'm not running. I'm not hiding. I'm not sitting at home waiting to be left behind. I showed up. And for now, that's enough. Joe and I have been together for 10 years now, and for nearly 8 of those, we've worked side by side. We've built more than just a marriage. We've built a life that overlaps in so many ways, from the office to our home. Like any couple, we've had our highs and lows, and sure, there've been disagreements. But nothing ever felt unrecoverable. Nothing ever made me question the foundation we stood on. Joe's been on dozens of work trips before, many of them with women, smart, confident women, some younger, some flirtier, and I've never once flinched. That's not me. I'm not the panic when he's away type. We've even handled delicate situations in the past with grace and maturity, always leaning on trust more than suspicion. But this was different. Maybe because, as Joe said, it wasn't really about him.
It was about me.
About her trying to shake my confidence, not in him, but in myself. It was a direct attack on the quiet, steady faith I'd had in the way we operated. It wasn't jealousy. It was humiliation. And she knew exactly what she was doing. The worst part is, she succeeded, at least for a moment. I let my emotions spiral. I let fear twist itself into this ugly knot inside me. I let myself believe something that, deep down, I knew wasn't true. Things could have gone to a really dark place. I'm still a little shaken by how close I came to doing or saying something irreversible. Joe told me later that while he was hurt by my reaction, especially the part where I showed up unannounced and didn't trust him enough to believe he could handle it, he also completely understood it. He told me, if I were in your shoes, I'd feel awful too. But I guess I never expected you, of all people, to think I'd betray you. And that hit me hard. Because he's right. I didn't believe it. Not really. Not in my bones. But I let that sliver of fear take over. And that wasn't fair to him. Still, Joe didn't make me feel ashamed. He didn't turn this into a power play. Instead, he said, I know what you've put up with for me, how many sacrifices you've made, and I never want to be the reason you feel that kind of pain again. I promise I'll be more mindful. And in that moment, I believed him. I think it helped that we had dinner together, all of us, that same evening. I was nervous, sure. I didn't know how it would go. But surprisingly, it was smoother than I expected. No one questioned why I was there. Joe introduced me as if it were the most natural thing in the world, and a few of the other team members, people I'd worked with before, were openly happy to see me. Her, though? She was exactly as I expected. She made a few of those backhanded, sugar-coated comments women like her have perfected. The kind that sound flattering if you don't listen too closely, but cut deep if you do. At one point, she smiled and said, you know, if she weren't always in her husband's shadow, she could be doing so much more. A few people chuckled, maybe thinking it was harmless. Later, she added, "It's a shame she's wasted here. She'd thrive in a bigger firm." I smiled, took a sip of my drink, and replied, "You seem to have a great eye for people's potential." Then I turned to Joe and changed the subject. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me rattled. I told them, "I'm just here for Joe and for the fun parts." And I meant it. Still, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried. If we land this bid, and I hope we do, for Joe's sake, we'll have to work with her for the next 5 years. Not daily, thankfully, but enough to make me wonder how often I'll have to deal with her smug glances and paper-thin comments wrapped in silk. But this contract means the world to Joe. I saw it in his eyes when he talked about his dad, about legacy, about doing something that mattered beyond just the bottom line. So I'll support him. And maybe I'll learn how to live with this discomfort, not bury it, but manage it. The same way we've managed everything else in this marriage. Because at the end of the day, I still trust Joe. I don't trust her, not even a little. But I trust us. And that's where I choose to stand.